prostitute. Uh, in 1964, Barnett traveled to Sydney, Australia, Sydney with Johnny Doyle to inspection of the the Australian wrestling scene. Selling his Indianapolis, Detroit promotion, he returned to Australia with Doyle and underwent under the band of the World Championship Wrestling, presenting the first card on the 23rd of October 1964 at the Sydney Stadium, continuing in 1974, where Barnett sold the promotion to Tony. I'm not pronouncing it. Returned to the United States, became one of the owners of Georgia Championship Wrestling. In addition, his roles also have been acknowledged as Barnett served as the Georgia U.S. President Carter's Presidential Council, was appointed as the members of the National Endowment for the Arts in 1980. In 1984, Barnett sold his shares to Georgia Championship Wrestling to World Federation, leading to what was known as Black Saturday. Yeah, that was probably the time when Vince McMahon got on the airs in TBS, and that's when Jim Crockett and them sold their stocks to what was it? He sold his stocks to Ted Turner, and he said that Ted Turner and Vince McMahon did not cameras for each other, and that's what I think David Crockett. It's on the What Happened When podcast with Tony Schiavone, and they're interviewing David Crockett on there. I think it's David Crockett. So he gets into detail of that. Plus, I'm sure that the what's the name, Dave Meltzer will probably know, and some other guys have some information on this as well. You can look it up. So I'm sure it's known. In 1987 to 1988, he worked for Jim Crockett Promotion, where Jim Crockett sold his promotion to Ted Turner Company in 1988, where he went for World Championship Wrestling as a senior advisor. He left WCW in 2001 and became a consultant on World Wrestling Federation in 2002. Barnett died of pneumonia in 2004 at the age of 80. He recently developed cancer and broken both his arms, and he fell. Tommy Rich, less than a week of national championship reign, was one of Barnett's that attended the boost of Georgia Gates. He was sued by wrestlers and bookers, particular owners of the Championship Wrestling, only answered in the aftermath of the Black Saturday promotion sale. Yeah. There are some people like Jim Morrison that do a phenomenal impersonations of him, but I actually didn't know who he was until they talked about him. I'm gonna go down to Paul Bosch. Paul Max Bosch, born October 7, 1912, and I guess he passed away in the 7th, 1989. Was an American professional wrestling promoter, was famous for his work as the announcer and the promoter of Houston Wrestling. Also spent several stints working in Universal Wrestling Federation and World Class Championship Wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions, and the World Wide. So he said WWF. Let's see. Let's see. Well, there's one on something wrestling where it talks about Houston Championship Wrestling, but I'm gonna speak to his basically his early life and education. So he was born in Brooklyn, New York on October 12th. His family eventually moved to the Brooklyn nearby Long Beach, where Bosch graduated from Long Beach High School. In 1929, he was gifted athlete and became a lifeguard on Long Island beaches near home, and he was skilled enough to, as a swimmer, to place third in the North Atlantic Coast Guard competition in 1932. Bosch began wrestling professionally during the 1930s, where it became a notable match as a 90-minute bout against Pat Meehan at Calgary on November 25th, 1938, that ended in a draw. He had a military service outbreak in World War II where Bosch suspended his wrestling career to enlist in the United States Army. He graduated from the official academy in 1942 and earned a commission in the 121st Infantry Regiment of the 8th Infantry Division. Bosch developed. He deployed in Europe with his unit after D-Day, landing to take part in the offensive against the Nazi German army. As a commanding officer of the Company G, 1st Battalion, 1st Lieutenant, Bosch led his rifle company in one of the most bloodiest and most, battles of the war in the Western Front. Battles of Hutton Forest. His unit took heavy casualties during the fighting. Bosch himself was seriously injured in a German artillery shell for service. Bosch was awarded numerous decorations, including the Purple Heart, the Silver Heart, the Oak Leaf Cluster, the Bronze, and probably other several awards they would give people who have fought in line of duty. Let's see, I'm going to talk about after World War II returning, Houston, North America in 1947. He was injured in a car accident, forcing him to retire from competition. He was at the time the Houston wrestling promoter, Morris Siegel, approached him to work for his growing Texas organization. Bosch became an advisor to Siegel as well as a radio announcer. 2 years later, he became the promoter, the first television commentator, where shows debunked on television. Bosch wrestling broadcasts remained as the fixture on wrestling television for over 30 years. I guess he's talking about when he said it was fake or something like that. I'm assuming what he was referring to. What was that? Paul Bosch wrestling broadcast. After Siegel died in 1956, Paul Bosch bought out Houston Wrestling from the Siegel widow, and Bosch had initially been training an opportunity for 20 years, but quickly brought the organization to its new level of success. Physically, under Paul's leadership, Houston Wrestling quickly gained its reputation as one of the regional wrestling promotions of its time. Promoters such as Gary Hart of Wrestling WCW, World Class Championship, I'm saying WCW, and wrestlers such as Barry Darsow, who repeatedly praised Bosch, and let's see, the Mud Wrestling, the Gus World Championship, Mid-South. Stop this because I'm tired.